channel. So today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make this dress. Someone sent it to me on Instagram, but I'm not going to be cutting it on a like big size. I'm just going to cut it. I will still show you guys how to cut it on a big fabric, but I won't be cutting the fabric because the style is not for me to wear. I just want to illustrate how to make this maxi dress. So basically what you're going to do now is guys, because if it was Akara, I would have cut it on Akara fabric, but I don't know how it will turn out on a fabric with starch, because all the pictures I checked on the page of the original designer was made on a very like a crepe fabric. So I figured I can't make it on, I don't know how it will look on Akara. That's why I decided, let me show you guys on my crepe fabric. But this fabric here, I originally wanted to make a jumpsuit from it for myself, so I can't use it to cut this dress. Please understand me. So now basically what you're going to do is just to fold your fabric into two. This is basically all you need here. Fold your crepe fabric into two. The second one, fold it into two, but make sure that you reduce the one on top so that you can get 1 inch of seam allowance in front, right? 1 inch of seam allowance. This is going to be for your button placket. After that, you're going to just mark from your shoulder to your bust, your shoulder to your waist, shoulder to your hip, shoulder to the knee, right? So you see all this line that I've made here, and then you come down here 1 inch on the shoulder slope. You can do 1.5 because the fabric goes down a lot. You can do 1.5, you can do 1 inch, then connect it to the end of the shoulder, and then cut 1 inch of your back neckline. Mark 1 inch for the back neckline, and then you mark 3 inches for the front neckline. After that, then on the bust line that you've marked, sorry, you're going to go in here by, let's say, about 6 inches or so, and then come in here, connect it from the bust, because there's no shaping to this clothes. Then you're going to connect from this bust line. Now you're just going to go all the way down straight to the knee, because it depends on you. You can just cut it straight all the way down to the end of the dress, and that's basically it. Cut from here, cut all this out, cut this shoulder slope out, cut off, and that's it. Or because if you look at it closely, you will find that the bottom part is narrower. So what I would do is from the knee, you came in here by 6 inches on the sleeve, right? For the knee, you might come in a little bit more, maybe 8 inches here, and then connect it directly from this point to this point, right? From the bust to that point, and then everything down straight. And that's basically it. All you have to do now at this point is just to go ahead and cut this part out like this, and then cut it all the way to the neck. Cut it all the way out here, and then cut this part shoulder slope out like this, and then cut the back neckline first, because you need to cut the back first and then remove it, right? And then cut the front neckline. Like, let's say your front neckline is going to come down a little bit more, right? Like this. Bring it down like 3 inches or so in the meantime, right? Just don't worry about it. Bring it down and then split it open, because the front, remember, the two fabrics are folded into two. After that, you're just going to cut this open like this. Once you cut it open, you have the two front and the one back panel. This is what that dress is supposed to look like. Now I'm going to show you guys how to I'm going to illustrate the same thing on a bigger fabric, guys. So basically all you have to do here is sew this part, sew your shoulder, sew the shoulder, and then once you come down here, you attach a fabric, like you attach the band at the end of the sleeve. You're going to cut, let's say, like 5 inches, so that you can use it as a fold for the edge of this sleeve, right? And then after that, you're going to just sew it down again. Now close it all the way to the end, and then close this part all the way to the end, right? But once you've done that, before you even get to that point, the front panel, we are going to also cut a facing for it. We are going to cut a facing, meaning you're going to take another fabric, fold it into two like this, another fabric, fold it into two, and then use it as the facing, right? Because you need to put your you need it to be a turn up sleeve. So you're going to go in that facing that you're going to, the next fabric you're going to use. So guys, this was originally my back panel, right? So what I'm going to do is now that my front panel, to get the facing so that we can get this notch collar, the collar and the neckline, all I have to do is just to take it and cut a facing for it. Go in by like 5 inches, right? Just go in by 5 inches. I know if I'm marking it here, it won't look like 5 inches, but go in from your shoulder by 5 inches. And then from there, you're going to connect it to the end of the dress like this. Just connect it to the end this way. So you're going to use it as this is going to now serve as our facing. So you cut out the same neckline, the same shoulder slope, the same everything except it's 5 inches in, because this is going to help you get that fold of the collar, right? You cut everything, narrow it down like this, and then you're going to split it. You can do about, let's say, 3 inches or 2 inches at the bottom, but connect 5 inches in, because you want you to go in a lot, right? 5 inches or even 6 inches, especially at this top part here, so that once you open it up, right, because you are still going to be joining it as a facing to this part. And remember, this one inside is going to be a different color fabric. Is the color that you want to be at the top of your collar is what you're going to use for the facing. So that once you join it to this side now, let's say I use like a pink cloth. Once I join it to this part now, this pink is going to come up like this, you see. And then I take this one now, join it to this neckline, right, like this. And then once I turn it over on my neck this way, you see, the fabric on the inside is what is going to show, which is going to be, let's say it's pink or yellow or whatever. And then this one on the outer is the multicolored one. The one on my chiffon is like the one on the inside of my facing is the plain colored one that will be the neckline. And then after that, we are going to go ahead and cut the neckline that we're going to put on the inside, that is going to be at the back. I hope that makes sense. So now let's move over to a fabric so I can explain it better. But this is basically the... And then after that, you see, one is going to overlap the other with that 1 inch that we left behind, so that we can be able to put in button all the way to maybe just the same length as where our knee was supposed to be, somewhere here. You put your button, 1 button, 2 button, like this all the way, and then you now leave this part open. So that's basically the whole thing. So let's go over to, I'll show you guys on a chiffon how you're going to fold it, and then I'm going to show you guys on making it on a smaller version now. Take you about, depending on your height, the whole thing is depending on your height. That's how you know how much fabric you will need here. So let's say you might need maybe 3 yards, so that once you fold it, because basically you're going to be folding your fabric into 2 like this, and this, your height is the only thing that matters here. So if you fold 3 yards into 2 and you find that the length this way is not enough, then you know you need maybe 3.5. But to be safe, I will go with 3.5, because 3 yards will not be enough. Even if, except you're really like short, then 3 yards might be enough. So no offense, guys. So the next thing I'm going to do now is, I've folded this into 2 this way. Now what you're going to do is, as I folded it like this now, so you see I folded it. Let me show you guys, because you see the first thing I did was to fold it into 2. The fabric comes open this way. I folded it into 2 by the width like this, and then the next thing you're going to do is to fold it again this way, right? You fold it again this way. And then once you fold it this way, this is what I was telling you guys, you fold it into 2. Once you fold it this way now, to start inserting your measurements, the next thing you have to do is to try to reduce one of them, so that you can use, try to reduce one so that the second one can give you a zipper allowance, right? Once you fold it here, you split the top part, reduce one, so that you know that the one with the room like this, like 1 inch in front like this, is going to be your front panel for the zipper. Because if you fold it into 2 this way, everything is equal, but you have to reduce one so that you can have the second one a little bit wider, so it will give you that 1 inch of zip, button. I keep saying zip, button allowance that we were talking about. So once you do that, now the next thing is just to go ahead and start inserting the measurements like we said before. So first you're going to go ahead and, so guys, if you notice, their own stops by their elbow, right? Their own stops mostly just below their elbow. So you're going to measure your sleeve length. So for me, from the shoulder to that point might be about, let's say, 17 inches. So the next thing you're going to do is just to mark my shoulder measurement divided by 2, which is 8. The next thing I'm going to do is to add my 17 inches, right? But instead of adding the 17, because I'm still going to add that 2 inches of thick band that they have at the end, I'll just go with, let's say 15.5, because I'll take away half an inch from this 15, the half an inch to join that 2 inches. So that will give me 17. So that means my sleeve is going to start somewhere here. So 17 is what I've marked, right? Mark it down all the way from this point. So after that, now the next thing you're going to do is, from the tip of the shoulder, you're going to mark your shoulder to your bust. So that's like 12 inches for me. Then my shoulder to my So guys, after that you're going to mark, remember to mark the 1 inch of shoulder slope. So I've marked that here now, and then after that I marked my shoulder, the tip from the tip of this part to my bust, which is 12. And then after that I'm going to mark from the tip of this fabric again to my waist, which is at 17. And then after that the next thing is my hip, my shoulder to my hip, which is at 25. And then my shoulder to my knee is the next thing, which is at 40. So guys, that's what I was trying to explain to you before. So now the next thing you're going to do is, like I said, on the bust line you're going to go in by, let's say, 6 inches or so. Depending on your size, you can go in even more than that. It depends on the width you want to have, but I think 6 inches, this 6 inches is okay. Go in 6 inches here. And then on the knee, that maintain still the same length, right? What we have here is, let me check the width I have here, 24. So I'm going to bring down that 24 down here, right? And then I took away 8 inches here, 6 inches here, sorry. Down here I might just make it 8 inches just to narrow it a little, like how their own is on the picture. So now at this point all I have to do is just to connect it like this. Like if you have a longer ruler, that's better, so that you can connect it all the way to this point. And then after that you're going to maintain a straight line from now down here to the end, right? Just maintain a straight line. So once you go in by 2 inches down here, maintain a straight line. Guys, if you don't want yours to narrow going down like their own, you can just maintain a straight line. After going in 8 inches, 6 inches here, just keep it straight all the way from the top to the bottom. Just rule a line. There's no need to go shoulder to waist, shoulder to bust, shoulder to every other thing. Once you mark shoulder to bust, go in by 6 inches or 5 inches, depending on your size and how wide you want your cloth to be. Then just maintain a straight line all the way down. So after you've done that, now the next thing is to give it a curve by the armhole like this. Give it a curve by the armhole. And then guys, if this is not wide enough for you, you can do 5 inches, right? You can do 5 inches. Since you're going to still take away seam allowance from this, you can do 5. So just so you can get that big boo-boo effect, and so that you can still so it will, because this fabric doesn't, that's the whole point of this fabric, it is light, so it will just drop on your body. It doesn't have starch that will make you look big. So even if it's wide here, it will still flatter your body, it will look nice. So from here now I'm going to connect this shoulder slope, all that 1 inch that we took away, all the way to the edge here. Don't mind the line I'm making, but just understand that you're going to mark it all the way to this point. That's the point of where you've marked your 3 inches of neckline, right? After that you mark half an inch for the front back, and then you mark, like, let's say 3 inches or 4 inches for the front neckline down. Then you cut it out. But guys, remember, there's still the second fabric that has this seam allowance here, right? Remember, the one at the bottom normally should have that 1 inch that I talked about, so it should be extended, and this top part should be split open already. So, but I'm not cutting it like I said on this fabric. So basically, once you've done that, the next thing you have to do is just to take your scissors, cut straight all the way to the top, come up here, cut all the way, cut your shoulder slope, cut your neckline, separate it, cut the front neck, the back neckline first, and then cut your front neckline. So once you've done that, now remember, the front is the one that has the 1 inch, guys. Don't forget it. The 1 inch extension, because it's your front that has your button. The back doesn't have the 1 inch extension. So now, once we've done it, I'm going to show you guys how we are going to cut the collar and the band we are using for the front. Basically, this band, guys, once you've cut this thing now, you see this excess fabric that is going to come out at this edge now. From this excess that is supposed to come out here, because remember, we've inserted our sleeve length and we still have this room here. We are going to cut this out. You can take this part now, fold it into 2 and use it as the band. Just sew it down as that band that you see at the thickness of, like, to wrap around the edge of your sleeve. You can just fold this into 2 and join it back again, just at the opening of your sleeve. That is it. So now we are going to go ahead and deal with the collar. Here, like what I said, you see my back panel and then the front. All I did is just to cut that piece I was talking about. You see it here, joined it to this part and then sewed it just with like less than half an inch, just to hold it together. Sewed it down so that I can still have my zipper, my button allowance that I'm supposed to have. Once I did that, I folded it away. You see what this one looks like now, so that when I place it on top of my cloth like this and then like this, the inside will be showing me this color. You see, the inside will be giving me this pink now. And then I've also gone ahead and cut my collar, but I will tell you guys how to cut the collar. So basically what I want to do now is to take this here, join the shoulder like I told you guys you're supposed to do, but I'm not going to join. For now, I'm not going to be joining this part. I'm just going to sew the cloth alone. And then the same thing on this side. I'm also going to just sew the cloth alone and leave this part. I'm going to leave this part because my collar is going to fit inside of this. So before that, I'm going to sew this down, sew the shoulder of this one down. And then when I get to the sleeve, so guys, this is what I was saying for the sleeve. Once you get to this part, you sew the sleeve together. Once you sew it together, you're going to take your fabric, fold it into two. For this here, that's what I was saying, you can use 5 inches band, so that when you extend, when you fold it into two, to use half an inch to join it to the body, you can have extra 4 inches left. You have like 2 inches width, length here, sorry. So get 5 inches of width, fold it into two, and you have 2.5 on both sides, right? Then you use that half an inch to sew it down to the cloth. So you see, I've done this one now. So once I turn it around this way, my sleeve will look something like this. So all I have to do now is just to sew it close from the inside, right, on the wrong side. Sew it down to the end. Just close it up to the end of this cloth, and then we'll come back and talk about the collar. So guys, this is it now. I've sewn it close, and like I said, you see why I didn't want to use Akara for this, because I wasn't sure if it was going to drop. So now the next thing I have to do is just to go ahead and measure the collar. Guys, the next thing you have to do for the collar is to go ahead, measure your back neckline. Remember, it's 3 inches distance that we did from this point, and then we connected it like this, right? And then the shoulder slope. So measure your front neckline is 3 inches for the back, right? Whatever you got, we also measure the front neckline. This is the back. Also measure the front neckline from the edge to the top, what you have, right? Add the two of them together. Or another way you can do it is, you can take the neckline of your clothes, the way your clothes is this way now. At this point, you've gone ahead and joined the shoulder to shoulder. You can just pick up the 2 points of the front piece and then move the back and have the whole thing, and then measure from this end to the end like this. Just put your tape and measure what you have as the opening of this neckline. And then after that, you're going to go ahead and make sure you have a fabric that is like, say, 7 inches, so that when you fold it into two, you have 3.5 on both sides, right? 7 divided by 2.5. So now you're going to take that measurement that you got, because this is supposed to be a notch collar, and you want to have, because a notch collar, most times what you have to do is to stop. You have to stop at least 1 inch before, or less than 0.75 before the end of the collar, so that you can get that notch. So whatever you decide to subtract, you're going to subtract it from the total neckline, because this part here, guys, if you want this part here is just where the collar will be, but this folded part, once you bring it down lower, the neckline will come down lower. If you want to make it short, the neckline, this neckline can work on a shirt, it can work on a dress, it works on a blazer. If I bring it down to the waistline, it's already looking like a blazer neckline. So that's the whole point. But this second part here is something that you have to work with because of the collar. So now what you're going to do is, that measurement you got, you're first going to insert the back neckline. So let's say after measuring my whole neckline, I got 8 inches. This is just an example. I'm going to subtract, let's say, that 1 inch I said to remove for the notch part, right? Remove it. The next thing I'm going to do is just to mark the neck, what I got for my back. So let's say I got 3 inches for the back, and then that is where it is now. I'm going to insert what I got for the front. So let's say I got let's say what I got was 3 inches plus 5 inches. That's the back. And then the front neckline was 5 inches, because remember, the front is going to be longer, because of, even if it's 3 inches you use for the neck depth, the front is definitely going to be longer because of that extension of 1 inch for your for the button in front. Remember, the front was longer, so that's 5 inches. I'm going to just but now I'm going to remove 1 inch again from it, because of the I took away 1 inch from it because of the notch collar. So I'm going to just mark 4 inches now from the total collar. So I'm going to also add half an inch here to sew the edge close, like to sew close the edge, and then I'm going to just connect it this way. And then the next thing you're going to do is, at this part now, you're going to go up by, let's say, 1 inch or 1.5. Go up here, and then you're going to just take it and blend it into this part. Blend it into your the back neckline. Blend it well. like this. And then at this point you're just go, this is basically, don't forget to notch this part here. And then you also have your seam allowance, half an inch of your seam allowance that we marked. So you're going to just take this to the sewing machine. All these parts now, you're going to cut it out. You're going to cut this out, cut this out. All you're going to cut, you're going to start from this edge now, cut this down here, cut this part all the way to this part, and then you're going to go to the sewing machine and sew it close. So this is basically what mine looks like. So guys, now you see this is my collar. So I'm going to go ahead, like this is the miniature version I was making. I'm going to use it to go back and attach this. Guys, if this collar is confusing, let me say it again. Basically, measure around your whole collar. Once you've measured it, you're measuring it on a fold, because you're going to be cutting the collar on a fold. Let's say what I got is 8 inches. What I was trying to explain to you guys is that the back neckline, we used whatever you got. Let's say it's 3 inches I got, because I'm assuming it's 3 inches you will get also, because the neck width is supposed to be 3 inches at the back. You're going to add what you got in front. I was trying to say that the front is going to be longer because of the extension and the depth of the neckline in front is definitely going to be longer. So that in total, if I add the front and the back neckline together, I got 8 inches. But now whatever you get, you can get 9 inches, you can get anything. You're going to subtract 1 inch from it because of the notch. But that 1 inch you're subtracting is going to be taken away from the front, not from the back. So you're going to now come back here to your collar, mark your basic front neckline. And then whatever you got in front, you're going to take away 1 inch from it. Now you're supposed to insert your front neckline, or to make it less confusing, just take that 8 inches, mark it here. Take your 8 inches, mark it here, remove that 1 inch. But then just come down here and mark your 3 inches again. You just need to know where your back neckline is, because you have to shorten the front. But the only reason we are inserting our back neckline here is because we need to shorten the front and we don't want it to affect the back. So that's the only reason I'm trying to mark, to know where my back is going to stop. So my back is 3 inches, that's why I marked it. But my front, it doesn't matter. I just need to insert the total length of the collar and then add my seam allowance. That's basically it. So all I have to do now is just to take this the way it is, open it up. And then I'm going to find the center of my collar, the center of the body of this cloth. And then I'm going to insert it in between here. And then I'm going to just sew it down. Sew it down. Getting to the front, I'm going to try to stop 1 inch before, like I said before, 1 inch before the end. And then I'm going to take this again, wrap it around like this. Wrap it, use this one to now cover it, and then sew it close. You see what I'm saying? You see, I notched my collar at halfway point. Like I said, notch your collar at halfway point. I'm going to take it. I notched the back of my cloth at halfway point. Place the both of them together, and then stretch one side to the front, one side to where it's supposed to end in front. You're supposed to, if you did it well, you're supposed to stop half an inch or 1 inch, depending on what you subtracted before the edge. And then you're going to take the part. That's why we didn't sew this part close, because we need it to be flexible. You're now going to use it to wrap around that collar. Go to your sewing machine and sew it down all the way to the top, all the way to wherever it ends. Continue that stitch all the way and sew it around the collar. When you get to this other edge, do the same thing. Fold this one in again and then sew it down. Once you're done, you tuck everything out. And once you tuck it out this way, you're going to get your notch collar. One is going to end here, and then the other one is going to be the fold. And that's basically it, how you're going to do that. And then you're going to just make, guys, you can come down here 12 inches under your armhole or 10 inches from under your armhole and insert a basic pocket. Just 2 fabrics flap together, or make an opening, like 5 inches opening, putting a pocket there. And then you're going to make something that looks like this again, like let's say 3 inches of width, and just take it, sew it down here, like about from your shoulder to where your shoulder to like 3 inches below your waist. Sew something that looks like that. Just sew, take it this way, close the 2 edges, maybe 5 inches of width, close the 2 edges, and then sew it down. Once you sew it down, you iron it, and then you can top stitch it so that it can have a flap here for the design. If you want, you can make it in form of instead of making it go straight, you can make it in form of a slanted like shape. If you want, you can keep it straight like a flap like this. You can top stitch it, and that's basically it. So I'm going to go ahead and put in the collar, and I'll show you guys what it looks like. Also for the button, I know you might be thinking, how will you be able to get a button that looks exactly like the fabric? Just cut out your fabric like this. Or if you want, before you even cut it, just put in your basic button inside of it. fold it like this, use it to wrap around your clothes. Remember, the button on the picture has to be the same as the one they use on the picture, has to be the same as the color and the inside of the cloth. Then use your use your needle and thread to sew it down. Sew it down. Once you finish sewing it down, you should have something that has like a very blunt edge. Let me just cut it so you guys will see what I mean by something like this, just something that looks like a sack. Once you get something that looks like that, so guys, you see I've sewn this close. Just sew your button. I know there's a sewing machine that does this for you, or a machine that people use to make this type of button. But if you're trying to make yours manually, just go ahead and sew. You see how I did mine? I've done this now. All I have to do is just to use this, cut off the excess on top of this, and then tag this down to my cloth and use my button and make a buttonhole for it. And then I have this design. My fabric is now covering my own button. So that's basically how you do it. So let me sew this collar down and show you guys what everything looks like now. So guys, you see this is done now. I've gone ahead and sewn it down. So once I flip it up now, you're going to see I'm going to just turn it inside out so you guys can see what it looks like. You see, so this is it here. You see that notch part on your own is supposed to be about, let's say, less than 1 inch, but maybe like 0.5. It depends on you what you want to do. So you see that I have done my notch now. So all I have to do is just to pull this down this way. Make sure to bring out all the edges. So guys, this is basically it here. You see, this is what it looked like before out here. So once you take it now, you just take it the way it is, sew it down, and then flip the collar like this. Once you flip the collar, you also iron this part down up to the point where you want it to be, maybe up to your breast line. That's where you want to show some cleavage, and then you just iron this down, and you see you have this part. And then you take your button that we've already made and sew it down like this using this method I just showed you guys. And that's basically it. Fold the edge of your cloth, and there you have it. So guys, please like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.